to another week of the Plus Money Sports Betting Podcast. My name is Q. You can follow me on all socials at Bets by Q. And of course, this podcast is brought to you by Black Sheep Betting, where it is a dog's world. There are a few different links in the description. One's for the VIP. That is where I drop all of my official plays that are plays that I am on personally outside of the podcast, but mainly it is designed for disciplined bettors. Look, there's not a lot of volume in there, all right? It's not parlays, it's not 10K challenges. I'm not selling you a dream. This is a place where value trumps volume, all right? So if you're a disciplined bettor with consistent unit sizing and you're looking for month-over-month profitability, the VIP is absolutely the place to be. And we crushed it this weekend, all right? Well, the second link, that one is for the free Discord chat. It is hosted by my friend Will from the Double Fault Tennis Podcast. It is a place to simply hang out, share bets, talk sports, celebrate wins, cope with the losses, unfortunately. But we are closing in on 1,000 members. We're building a winning community over there, so definitely come join us. It's absolutely free. We talk sports 24/7, 365, every hour of every single day. You will usually find me in the tennis channel. That's where I'm the most active, especially late at night and early in the morning. We're in the Australian Open right now, so you definitely want to check that out. If the podcast isn't enough or you miss it and you want to get some extra plays in, definitely check out the Discord because you can find some plays in there as well. The last link in the description, that's going to be for a bet tracker. Very simple. Transparency is key. So if you want to see what we've been up to on a podcast since the beginning of the year, definitely check that out. I track every single bet every single day. All right. Let's talk about the weekend. Obviously, you guys know I'm a Bills fan, so it's been a heavy weekend for sure. All right, another season that ends with disappointment for the Buffalo Bills. But I guess first of all, I don't know what a catch is anymore. I think it's like kind of like politics. You have to agree to disagree on one of the sides, but ultimately, I guess your perception on the catch, no catch, interception by the Broncos kind of really just depends on what side you wanted to win the game. I mean, but seriously, I feel like we're at a point where we're slowing down replays frame by frame, zooming in, zooming out, and it still feels like the rules change depending on the moment. And for Buffalo, man, like fellow Mafia, heartbreak again. Our season ending like that is just brutal. It's like the script writes itself at this point, and the Bills fans can't catch a break. I mean, talk about a cursed franchise. I don't know. I really not to sound like a sore loser, but I really didn't even want to do the podcast today because that Bills game kind of just got me out of whack a little bit, man. I bounced back, and I know enough not to bet on my team because, emotions and money involved and all of that. It's never really a good look. But I don't know. It was a really good game by the Denver Broncos. But, I mean, the game's going to be remembered for the catch, no catch, interception, and for the pass interference calls that got called late in the game in overtime. I don't know, but look, we ride on. Josh Allen could have been better, but just a brutal way to go out. Then I guess on the other end, like speaking of brutal, we had Caleb Williams pulling off a buzzer beater in the fourth quarter and still losing the game for the Chicago Bears. I mean, I don't even know how that happens. You can blame Caleb Williams all you want. But first of all, Caleb Williams is the reason why this team is where they're at right now. He's an absolute fighter. You can say what you want about his personality, but there's no denying that kid is a winner, despite how the game turned out last night. But I just have to, God, I mean, how do how do you not look at DJ Moore and say, dude, what the fuck are you doing? How does that even happen? I mean, that one hurts. Look, Bills fan, the Bears fan, you guys also had insult to injury for Mafia, right? But you guys seemingly, other than the interception, the biggest play in the game was the catch by Devontae Adams that was stripped out of his hands coming to the ground and was ruled a catch. Just the irony is insane. Caleb Williams delivered one of the exact moments you needed that you would think would swing a game, and it still wasn't enough. Look, Bears fans, I'm sorry. It really shouldn't have played out that way. And then I guess even more insult to injury, right? Over the weekend, on the Denver Broncos beat the Buffalo Bills, and then they're going into the AFC Championship game, hosting the AFC Championship game with no quarterback, with their backup quarterback. Look, I'll be honest, it sucks seeing the Patriots back in the AFC Championship. I don't care what anybody says. I'm fucking sick of it. All right. The fact that Denver is there with their backup quarterback now after Bo Nix broke his ankle in the final couple plays of the game. Again, it's just insult to injury for Mafia. In the way that the game ended, it feels like the Zebras ruined what was shaping up to be an all-time classic between what would have been the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots at Gillette Stadium. But either way, look, we move on because, look, like, I love the Buffalo Bills, but I love money more. And I absolutely delivered in the VIP this weekend, all right? We're talking 12 plus units on the weekend. The only loss that we had, it was an embarrassing one. I publicly apologized to my VIP members, and, like, I had a terrible read on the 49ers money line. The game was over on the first play, all right? Hindsight is 2020. That one was just a miss on my end, but we absolutely made it back and then some. Obviously, if you're in the VIP and you're listening to this, we had the over in the Bills game. That cashed with ease. There were 63 points scored in that game. We got the over at 45. But we cashed a 5-unit Ramondre Stevenson prop for his over rushing yards. It came in the final quarter of the game. We also hit a multi-unit play on Caleb Williams over 213 passing yards, which literally cashed on the last play of the game. And, and that's what I'm talking about. Value over volume, all right? We didn't have a bunch of plays in the VIP. We had, I think, 6 or 7 over, a span of 3 days. But we made sure that we wagered the units that were necessary to put us in a very good position to start the week. Anyways, look, links in the description. I digress about the playoff weekend. I just wanted to kind of recap and share some of my thoughts. For what it's worth, though, at this point, I'm rooting for Matthew Stafford to win it all. It just seems like it's going to be a great end of an era with the quarterbacks retiring these last few years. Matthew Stafford's the last one left in that group. Undoubtedly, if he wins this game, I mean, I think he rides off into the sunset like John Elway. Look, I think Stafford was going to be a Hall of Famer whether he got a Super Bowl ring or not. He cemented that in his first year with the Rams, and he got one. And now he has a chance to be a multiple Super Bowl champion. I think that's an amazing story, especially coming from a franchise like Detroit that he came from for all those years. He didn't blink. He stuck it out, and just massive respect for Matthew Stafford. The Rams will be who I'm rooting for to win it all, and I think it's very doable. Anyways, look, links, VIP, free Discord, bet tracker, all of it. You can follow every single play transparently. Let's get into today's card. All right. First play of the day. It's fucking irony all over this, right? And I tried very hard to avoid playing this, but I just love it too much to not play it, all right? And look, it's not football, it's hockey, All right. We're going right back to the ice here. Give me the Buffalo Sabres, the hottest team in the NHL at plus 150 on the money line at home against the Carolina Hurricanes. Look, I know Carolina's coming in hot. They've scored 13 goals in their last two games. They just dropped a 9-1 nuke on the defending champions. But they had four power play goals in that game. It's hard to win when you get the main advantage that often. But when you score four power play goals, you're expected to win. Some of those came on an empty net as well. So 9-1, yes, but this is a very bad showing by Florida, who's also a depleted and injured team. They followed it up with a 4-1 win over New Jersey, a little bit more respectable, I guess. But they've gone 6-1-1 in their last 8. So yes, this team is rolling right now. But Buffalo is not some random dog here either. I know the Bills did what they did, but the Sabres have been on a ridiculous run since early November when they made the head coaching change. 15-2-1 in their last 18 games since December 9th. And even though they lost 5-4 in OT to Minnesota last game, it doesn't change the bigger story. Buffalo is playing winning hockey again. All right. They're also starting a 5-game road trip. So my correction here where I said that Carolina's coming to Buffalo. Buffalo's in Carolina for this game. But the key to this is that they've been much better on the road lately. All right. They're 8-1-0 in their last 9 away games. So the road narrative doesn't really scare me here. But here's what's going to decide the game. Buffalo has to stay out of the penalty box, okay? Carolina's main advantage is lethal. It's too good. We just watched them put up a 4 power play goal game. So Buffalo's key to winning this is no cheap penalties. Make Carolina beat you 5-on-5, and the Buffalo Sabres are playing very good 5-on-5 hockey, led behind Tage Thompson. He's been the heartbeat of this run, 50 points on the season, 25 goals. He's coming in tonight on a 7-game point streak with 13 points in that span. And then we get Colton Ellis back in the net today, all right? Since the Alex Lyon injury, Ellis and Luukkonen have been alternating starts. We won with Buffalo the last time Ellis was in net. I want to say on Friday we had a multiple unit play on him and on the Bills money line at plus money. So I'm going back to it, right? I know Carolina's been loud, but Buffalo's been just a little bit louder. Buffalo's been consistent enough now for a month and a half. Give me the Sabres on the money line plus 150. Shop around though. You might find a better number here because this kind of has jumped around a little bit. I think people who got destroyed in the NFL playoffs are probably coming here and looking just at some name recognition and might just be betting based off teams that they see and what they think that they may know. So you might be able to get the Sabres at maybe plus 160. Just shop around, but we're going to lock in 1 unit on the Sabres on the money line. All right, let's shift gears because it's the biggest game in sports in a very, very, very long time. College football playoff national championship game. I've been staring at the spread, at the total, at the props for basically a week now, and I keep landing on the same conclusion. Indiana is about as complete as it gets. Now, if you are an avid listener of the podcast, you know that we are not going to play Indiana on a side here. Why is that? Because we have an Indiana futures here at plus 130 for a few units that we took right before the Oregon game. I know it sounds crazy if you're a college football junkie. It probably doesn't make any sense to you because Indiana being called a complete team and probably the most complete team. When they pull this off tonight, I mean, they're going to go down as one of the best college football teams ever. I mean, up there with the Clemson team, up there with the 2018 LSU team. But this version of Indiana is different, man. I know Indiana is a basketball state, it's a basketball school, but they've got the number 2 offense in the country. They're scoring 42.6 points per game. They've got the number 2 defense, allowing just 11.7 points per game. That's elite on both sides of the ball. Miami has a great offense, okay? They've seen great defense, but they have not seen many teams that have both. And at this level, look, it's in one package. It's going to be really hard for Miami to stay close in this one. Here's what's interesting to me: Miami is at home in this game. All right, I'm not really seeing the line reflect that. Okay. Feels like the market is treating this like a neutral field when realistically it's not. And if you asked me before the playoffs started, I would have capped this probably closer to Indiana -4, maybe -5. Um, with the slight location edge kind of applied to that. But now the market is sitting at 8.5. The question becomes this: did we really get 2.5 points of adjustment based off what we've seen the last few weeks? Yes, Indiana, they've routed two teams, but I mean, Alabama probably shouldn't have been there. Oregon's been overrated all year. So I don't know. I'm questioning whether the number is inflated by the momentum. Luckily, we don't have to worry about the spread because we're not going to be on it. But it's just something to think about if you're handicapping this game and you're looking for some action and you didn't bet the futures at plus money. Um, I I I don't really trust Carson Beck. I know he kind of pulled it off against Ole Miss in the semifinals, but look, Miami's defense is extremely talented. That's the only thing that I feel like makes me nervous, even as technically a Indiana money line better today. I only need Indiana to win and we cash our futures, but this is probably the best defense that IU has faced all season. So I'm not automatically going to assume that Indiana drops 40 points here. But the issue is this: Indiana can beat you in every way. They've got the Heisman winning quarterback who led the nation in passing touchdowns. They are great on the run. They're not a one dimensional air raid. Just throw it all over the place. They can pound the rock behind Black and Hemby, and they've got top tier in rushing production. Defensively, Indiana gets after it, man. 3 sacks a game. So there's really not a weakness that you can circle and say that's the path. I think that's going to be the hardest part for Cristobal here, who's a Miami native as well. Also went to school with Mendoza's father. Um, just Mendoza is from Miami as well, so this makes it. There's a lot of storylines here. Obviously, the biggest one being Signetti and the Indiana Hoosiers in position to win the national championship, right? Um, I think Miami in ways can match the physicality of defense that Indiana does play, but Indiana's depth of offensive playmakers is going to be the separator here. If the game is tight in the fourth, I do expect it to be somewhat of a tight game. I wish I could say that it's easy to lay the 8 points with Indiana. If you do, I would not blame you, right? But from a betting market side, 84% of the bets and the handle is on Indiana. That's an absolute stampede, okay? So I'm watching closely to see if the books hold that number firm because, they like Miami. But I think eventually this number will come back down to 7 at some point. But I'm interested here on the total, okay? This is the weird part. There's more money on the over, but the total is dropping. All right. That usually tells you something. This total opened up at 48. It is now at, I believe, 46.5. And I think that should, I don't know, it's a reason for concern when both of these teams had, it was massive amounts of 58 and 78 points scored in the semifinals. Now we're getting a 47.5 point line in the national championship. The public is screaming over, no chance. But I don't think that Miami can afford this game to be. If Miami wants to keep this game close and within one possession, they should not try to match the pace of Indiana. Indiana plays very fast. They're going to want to slow this game down. it could get very, very ugly. However, I think that this game is going to be slower. It's going to be defensive driven, kind of game script. And I do think Indiana wins. I think Indiana wins this game 25-19. Something along those lines. I do not think that this game goes over the 47.5 points. So I'm going to back the under 47.5 points here between the Indiana Hoosiers and the Miami Hurricanes for the national championship game. It's a rough one. And, look, it's one of those where we already have a play in the Hoosiers' futures. So technically we are rooting for the Hoosiers to just win the game. I don't want to double dip. I don't want to hedge here. It could be easy to hedge and bet Miami. I really do not think Miami wins this game. I would be very surprised. It would shock the world. It would crush, Indiana fans for a very long time, especially given the last couple of years that they've had with Purdue losing the national championship, Notre Dame losing the national championship, the Pacers losing in the NBA championship. And then I think all of that's going to be made up for here when Indiana wins it. Fourth time's the charm, as they say, but we are going to stay away from a side today. Don't want to lay the points, don't want to lay the juice. Give me the under 47.5 between Indiana and Miami in what should be a all-time classic. Okay, quick recap for the day. I know it's a very long podcast, but we are on the Sabres on the money line against the Carolina Hurricanes at plus 150 on the road. And, of course, we're on the under 47.5 in the Indiana-Miami college football championship game. Defense shows up, game stays controlled. That's the card. 2 plays, 2 units in play. Good luck. I'll be back here tonight, or be back here tomorrow with more plus money plays from around the sports world. As always, my name is Q from Black Sheep Betting, and I hope each and every one of you hit each and every one of your bets.